so I put the gun up. Started from the bottom, but now I'm on the come up. Staying on my grind, I'ma hustle till the sun up. I kick you with my ox, so you know we put that pun up. Yeah, life's different when you anointed. Them demons come hard when they know that you've been appointed. Was stubborn in my ways, on the way to my grave. Stiff neck me for the truth, now my spirit is double jointed. Gotta stay ready for war. I put on the whole armor of God. When my brethren get the call, it's on cause they know that we finna ride. Need to be humble in the spirit, but be bold in your countenance. And beware opposition. Even your friends and your family can be counterfeit. I'm just trying to find my way. It's my destiny, I know I got a part to play. Can't wait to see a high on that righteous day. New Jerusalem, I know I got a right to stay. You need to take heed to this wisdom, and you gotta stay away from folly. Cause everybody say they in the truth, but the truth is not in everybody. Hit back to them punchlines, falling like it's crunch time. Hungry for the word like I'm standing in the lunch line. I know you got a purpose, you can find it with enough time. And seek his wisdom daily cause you're gonna have a tough time.
Shabbat Shalom, family. It's your boy Solemn Prophet here with Professor S and the family. Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom. This is Shabbat Talk. So, let's see who we got on here. Okay. And a couple more people will be on here too. Yeah, first and foremost, got to give all praises to the Most High, because without him, we wouldn't even be here. We wouldn't have this knowledge, wouldn't have the capacity to share it and bring others into the truth of what the Bible actually speaks of. Not what man said, not what your pastor said, not what your elder said, not your feelings, emotions, or opinions, but what is written in the sacred text, the word of the Most High. So we thank him, we honor him, we give him praise, honor, worship, and esteem. And so, with that being said, go ahead and get these banners playing. You know, got to do our shout outs. Definitely got to do our shout outs. So, you know, first and foremost, Shabbat Shalom to my co-host, Professor S, my A1 Day One. He has been cooking the past, 5 weeks? Yeah, this is part 5, Professor S. You muted.
Sorry, I was muted. I hadn't really been keeping up with that. I don't know. I think this is part 6, actually.
Is it part 6? I thought it was part 5.
It might be part 5. I don't know.
Maybe. Well, we'll find out, and once the video go up, it'll be the correct number. But we've been cooking for some weeks. Shabbat Shalom, Sister Aaliyah. She out on the road on the way back home, but she tuning in with us too. Shabbat Shalom, Brother Greg. Shabbat Shalom, Sister Tess and Sister Cindy. Shabbat Shalom, Sister Jasmine. And last but definitely not least, Shabbat Shalom, Chief Sims in the building. Shabbat Shalom, everybody. So, you know, let's go ahead and get started with the Torah portion. So the Torah portion for this week was Exodus chapter 6, verse 2, all the way through Exodus chapter 9, verse 35. That's the end of the chapter. And then next week, we'll start on chapter 10. And then Ezekiel chapter 28, verse 5 through chapter 29, verse 21. And then lastly, Romans 9, verses 14 through 33. So this is what we were supposed to read this week. I will briefly say what next week's Torah portion is, just for those who need to write it down or take a picture. Next week's Torah portion is Exodus 10 and 1 through 13 and 16, Jeremiah 46, verses 13 through 28, Luke chapter 22, verses 7 through 30, and 1 Corinthians chapter 11, verses 20 through what? I think I made a mistake on that one. Check. (20 through 34). 20 through 34. 20 through 34. My bad. So yeah, this is the Torah portion for next week. Professor S, you want to go ahead and pull up the parsha in 60 seconds?
Yeah.
And we can get this party started.
All right. Let's see. All right, here we go.
Shalom and welcome to Parsha in 60 Seconds. Today's portion is from Exodus 6:2 through 9:35. It is called Va'era, which means "and I appeared." God speaks to Moses and shares his plan to save his people, but the Israelites won't listen. God tells Moses to tell Pharaoh to let the Israelites go, but Moses kvetches about public speaking because his speech impediment. So Aaron becomes his voice. God would harden Pharaoh's heart so that God might show his signs and wonders. The first meeting didn't go so well, as both Aaron and Pharaoh's priests threw down rods and had an epic snake battle. Pharaoh's heart hardened. God sent 10 plagues on Egypt, which directly correlated with the Egyptian gods. God turned the Nile into blood, killing all the fish, infested Egypt with frogs, lice, swarms of locusts, struck the Egyptians' livestock with pestilence, caused boils on man and beast throughout Egypt, sent thunder and hail, which struck down all exposed in Egypt. Pharaoh confessed his wrongs and agreed to let the Israelites go. Or did he? And that is Va'era in 60 seconds.
These people, they love humorous puns.
Yeah.
All right. That was Parsha in 60 seconds. Who got something they want to share about the Torah portion for this week? You've been kicking us off the last couple of weeks, Dr. Greg.
Okay, yeah. This week I kind of slacked. Time got on me, and I didn't get a chance to get through the Torah portions this week. So right now, feedback is not too much.
Okay.
So I apologize for that.
Mm-hmm.
No worries, no worries.
Well, I think something that generally goes overlooked with the plagues is that each of the plagues was in direct opposition to one of the Egyptians' gods, and that is in like it starts with the lowest ranking of all the gods and continues up until it gets to the death of the firstborn. Very, very interesting. The darkness was, the sun god, all of that stuff. It started with the turning the water into blood, and all the different plagues were directly against one of the Egyptians' gods, going up in the hierarchy from lowest to the greatest.
That I didn't know. So that's good to know.
Oh wow, yeah, it is.
Mm-hmm.
So like the first one was blood. What did that like? What was the opposite of that?
Oh, the god of the Nile or whatever.
Oh,
Yep. Then the frogs. They had a frog god that they worshipped. Et cetera, et cetera. I don't remember exactly like all the details. I had read Chuck Missler's got a great study on it though.
I had to check that out.
Really, really interesting.
Okay.
Well, I guess I will add this part, that I did read is just feels similar to last time when we were talking about just how when Moses was not confident and didn't really have faith in Yah's word when he told him to go talk to the people, so I'm not a good speaker, but Yah always finds a way to work with us and just have that faith. If he tells us something, it's even if we don't feel it or have confidence that we can do it, it's going to happen, even if it's through somebody else, but it's, we're still connected to that person. We're just having that faith that we're going to get through whatever Yah is telling us to, even if we don't feel like we can do it.
Yeah, that's funny because today's Torah lesson. Well, not even really a Torah lesson, but their Sabbath, my kids' Sabbath lesson was on the story of Gideon and how he wasn't confident and he questioned and he was scared and he eventually, trusted in the Most High, and then the Most High did it in such a way where he took away any even like notion of Israel trying to take claim to the victory for themselves. They started with the massive army, and then he just reduced the army down. I actually did the math. He reduced the army, Gideon's army, by 99%.
Wow.
He reduced it by 99%, and then let them go and get a victory. So they knew it wasn't, because of them. It was only because of him.
That's crazy, man. I was gonna do something about Gideon. I didn't because it was gonna be too much. But I almost started putting stuff about Gideon. That's crazy, man.
That's crazy because look, I'm telling you, this is literally how the lesson came to be today. I was on YouTube and I was just typing in like children's Bible lesson on, and then I left it blank and I was just like, war. I was just like, war. And then Gideon popped up and I was like, oh yeah. I was like, I haven't even read this story in a while. Let me refresh myself too. And so it was good, and the kids had a really good lesson. So that's what it came to mind when you said that, Brother Greg. So definitely good stuff on that. Anybody else got anything they want to talk about regarding this week's Torah portion?
I would say it's actually important to note that in a lot of cases, the Egyptians were able to reproduce things that Moses did. Of course, Moses did them better. Or actually, it was Aaron. That's another thing, like Marquita was talking last week or a couple weeks ago about how, you think it's one way, but then something else, Mm-hmm. It was actually Moses, right? Actually Aaron, right? Not Moses, because Aaron was like the prophet from Moses to Pharaoh. So, because when Moses talked with Elohim, he says, "You will be like Elohim, and your brother Aaron will be the prophet that will go and speak to Pharaoh what you tell him, and I'm going to tell you what to tell him." Right. So that's an interesting note. But so when you get these movies with Moses doing all this stuff, it actually, But besides that, the snakes, right? When they drop the staff and turn into a serpent, and then the Egyptians were able to do the same thing, right? Mm-hmm. Using their enchantments and so forth. It says that they actually could do that, which is interesting.
Yep.
So it's not like we have this idea of that phony religions and sorceries and stuff is all a bunch of nonsense. It's hogwash. It's not real. It doesn't work and all that kind of stuff. It actually does, and Scripture even says right there that they did a lot of the things that was being done, but Elohim did it better and more powerfully, as in the case with the staffs turning into serpents, where the Egyptians' staffs got eaten, right? So, just an interesting thing to note, and for one, we don't want to be under the false assumption that none of these things can or do happen, but at the same time, we want to be assured that that our Elohim is more powerful and can defeat any of it, anyways. So
yeah, I think the Targum did a really good job of that, because when he threw his staff down, the Targum said that they were able to do it. They were mentioned in 3 different ways.
Mm-hmm.
It calls them magicians, astrologers, and something else. But he says that they were able to, like you said, they were able to recreate the turning rods to snakes. Then they were actually able to recreate the turning water to blood. But then with the insects, they weren't able to do it. And it said they told the Pharaoh, hold on that part, it says where is it was just on. Oh, here we go. It says, and the astrologers wrought with their burnings to bring forth insects, but were not able. And the plague of insects prevailed upon men and upon cattle. And the astrologers said to Pharaoh, this is not by the power or strength of Moses and Aaron, but this is a plague sent from before the Most High. And then it was talking about how the Pharaoh's heart was still hardened. So like it shows like they were able to do some of the things, but they couldn't do all of it.
Mm-hmm.
So that was interesting to read about too.
Another note. I mean, we could go on this this Torah portion for a good while actually. But another thing to note is it says that Elohim hardened Pharaoh's heart, because multiple times Pharaoh was going to let them go, and Elohim hardened his heart, right? And as a child reading that, I was like, well, why would he do that? He was already going to do what he was going to do. Why would he do that, right? But because you get this certain idea of what it means to have your heart hardened, but when you really look at it, and you look up the word, it means to strengthen, right? So what Elohim was doing was he was strengthening what was already in Pharaoh's heart, and it was not in Pharaoh's heart to let the people go. It was in Pharaoh's heart to control them, to rule them, to do all this stuff, right? And so Elohim was actually strengthening what was already in Pharaoh's heart, which was not to follow and not to do what he was being told to do, And had Elohim not strengthened him, he probably would have gave up and been like, "Oh, I'm ruined. My land's like decimated." But had he not done that, then Israel would not have been able to plunder the Egyptians as they did. They wouldn't have gone out with a strong hand, and all the other nations would not know about it. You know what I'm saying? Because all the other nations knew about all that, right? And it needed to take place the way that it did, so that as Israel continued on,
right,
they would be recognized as the people of Elohim.
So you're saying what the Most High did was he basically just kind of strengthened Pharaoh's convictions even further, to the point where Pharaoh was even more reluctant to, cave due to the plagues.
Yep.
Gotcha.
What I'm hearing, and I haven't read it, forgive me, but I was just thinking, you clarifying harden of the heart. Would that be increasing his pride? Because isn't pride comes before the fall, and he actually fell because his whole army got drowned. His pride was so intense that he wasn't gonna let them go, and he like you said, he wants to control. But in all of that control and all of the plagues that came, it may have increased the Israelites to know who God truly is and what he can do. But it also increased that pride for Pharaoh. And I'm just this is just a thought in my head, increased his pride to where he went after them and to his demise and his followers.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a thought.
No, absolutely.
Yeah, no, that's great because it had to happen the way that it did. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of this. Oh, go ahead, brother.
Oh, really quick. I was just going to say earlier when you guys were talking about the two staffs, you had like the magicians and the astrologers, those guys, they were able to do that too. It just made me think about, as far as, 'cause for me, I always think like modern times when we talk about the Bible, to where we're going to start to see that increase as far as like wonders and magic and things that we probably thought were only in movies, but we're seeing it in real life. But having that discernment to know where that source is coming from. Is it coming from, the evil one, or is it coming from, the Most High? So having that discernment to know, where that, because people see that, wow, like I said, they're going to go flock to the Antichrist and to all that stuff when they see these wonders, like, whoa, no human can do that. So you must be divine and great, but because they're just showing, hey, they can do stuff too, but you got to know where that source is coming from.
But I thought that because, excuse me, I just drunk something.
Wrong pipe.
Oh my God. Oh,
Sis, you need
Clear
it.
pipes right now.
I got my arms up like a baby. That clears it. But I was gonna say, because we have all been created in his image and he spoke what he created, and we have the power to speak life or death. Them speaking or whatever created the same thing, but it didn't bring the plagues that God brought, because he brought those plagues. And just because they spoke or tried to mimic whatever Moses did, they had that authority within their verbiage.
Yeah, they were like doing magic. So like I'll read out of the Targum, where the Most High was talking about why he was doing what he was doing, and this was in Exodus 9. It says, "And the Most High said to Moses, Arise in the morning and place thyself before Pharaoh, and say to him, Thus saith the Most High, the Elohim of Israel, Emancipate my people, that they may worship before me. For at this time I will send upon thee a plague from the heavens, and all my plagues wherewith I have plagued thee, that I will cause to return upon thy heart and upon thy servants and upon thy people, plagues which have been sent from before me, and not from the magic of the sons of men, that thou mayest know that there is none like me in all the earth." So he clarifies and says that yeah, men can do magic, but even the stuff that they're doing is not on my level, basically, right? So the magicians that were working for Pharaoh, they did have a certain measure of type of, I guess, power, you could say. They tapped into some things because they were able to recreate some things. It's not, you can't just take a stick and turn it into a snake without something, or take water and turn it into blood without something. But their power is finite. Their power is limited. It's not nowhere near on the same level as the Most High. But yeah. So,
And we should not be fearing that. We shouldn't have to worry about that. And I think that's part of the reason that that's included in Exodus, is because we don't need to be afraid of what men can do. You know what I'm saying? Even that kind of magical, mystical kind of stuff that would, like Greg said, like we generally think, oh, that's only from the movies. You know what I'm saying? Even that kind of stuff, we shouldn't be afraid of it. It should be something that we see and we're just like, wow, that's nothing. What is this? You know what I'm saying?
mm-hmm.
And I'll just add to that, to add on to what Professor S is saying, is and we shouldn't, we shouldn't fear it, and we should know that it can't harm us, because there's countless testimonies of ex-Satanists, astrologers, whatever they practice. They actually literally had power. They were astral projecting. They were putting their hands in fire and not being burned, like levitating. They're doing stuff. And then they say when they would try to go put a curse on like a believer, true believer, they would have like this white force field around them. They could not touch them. And they literally could not touch them. So they would be confused, like, wait, I thought I had the all supreme power. Why can't I touch these people who believe in the Bible, the Most High, Yahushua? But it's like, so knowing that we have true faith, they can't harm us.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
And they becoming more and more out of the woodworks doing these interviews, talking about their past lives and the rituals that they would do and all of that. Like, they're putting it all out on blast.
Mm-hmm.
You can YouTube a lot of this stuff too. So,
Yeah.
But yeah, anybody else got anything for the Torah portion before we move on?
I'll just say one last thing in Romans, where just talking about like the Gentiles versus like the Yahudim, and how the Gentiles they have faith. I think it was just talking about how should you just cast them away because they have faith, but they're not of the bloodline. But what about the people of Israel who actually follow the laws, but they don't really have faith? So it's like people who have faith who are not like that necessary bloodline, they are still being considered, and the ones who are part of the bloodline but they don't have true faith, they're not being like considered in the Yahudim.
Absolutely, because you gotta have both.
Yeah, exactly. Amen.
You gotta have both.
Yep. Without faith, it is impossible to please Elohim.
Amen. And faith without works is dead.
Faith without works is dead. Yes, absolutely. So I'm looking.
All right.
Yeah, this is this is part 5, brother. I just confirmed it. I just checked the YouTube channel.
Is it?
So family, So family, we're gonna let Professor S take on over, continuing his cook session, right? And
all right. So I'm gonna start this off with Luke. Let's see here.
I must be missing something because the last one on here I see is part 5.
I'm pretty sure we had
But
part 6.
so this is part 6. But where's that video at? I gotta find that out.
I don't know.
What is part 6 then? Okay, we're gonna put it in part 6.
Well, it doesn't matter. You could just leave that off, I suppose.
It's all good.
5 or 6 or what? Question mark. Okay. So we'll start off right here, right? Luke, chapter 16, 10 through 12. Messiah said, "One who is faithful in a very little is also faithful in much, and one who is dishonest in a very little is also dishonest in much. If then you have not been faithful in the unrighteous wealth, who will entrust to you the true riches? And if you have not been faithful in that which is another's, who will give you that which is your own?" Right? This is he's basically talking about, he just told a parable about a manager or a steward who was dishonest and no good, right? And and so the master, who was a rich man, called him and was like, "Look, you've got to give an account for what you've done, right?" And he went and started telling everyone that was indebted to his master, "Hey, you don't owe him quite as much. You can cut that off. You can cut that." And he went and saw all of them. And then he says, if you're faithful in a little, you can be trusted to be faithful in much. But if you're not even faithful in a little, if you're not even faithful in the corrupted wealth or riches of this world, then how can you be trusted to be faithful in true riches? You know what I'm saying? And that's really a big thing. Everything on this earth it's put here to help refine us, right? It's put here to refine us into being getting better and better, right? To constantly be chipping away at the garbage, the dross that needs to be thrown off. What tends to happen when we grow up and we're taught in this system, we're taught how to operate within the system and not how to use the lessons to shed the phony system, right? And that's really what we need to do is look for the spiritual lessons that are in everything. We're supposed to pass finances through us, right? We have to comprehend living differently, right? What tends to happen is people who grow up in the system, they're educated by the system, and they cling on to the system, and then the corruption that should be teaching them and helping them to understand what they do want, what is the good that they really should be seeking, they instead grab onto that corruption, and they feel like that's the only thing there is, because that's all they can see with their eyes, right? That's all they can see with their eyes. The natural eye can only see this broken down, corrupted system around us. But by using all of the things here, we can then gain deeper understanding of the mysteries. We have to comprehend what's really going on, and we have to comprehend living a different type of life, living the way we were meant to live, right? So right here, go back to sharing the screen real quick. So Philippians 4:19 says, "And my Elohim will meet all your needs according to the riches of his glory in Messiah Yahusha," right? So he can meet all of our needs. All of our needs. We don't have to, we shouldn't have to worry about that kind of stuff, right? We should not have to worry about, are our needs going to get met? Are we going to have what we need, right? Everything that we need is going to be supplied for us. There's things that we may want that we have not shown that we've been faithful in the little, so we can't be given the much, right? But once we do, when we do, and we have that true faith and the true desire to obey the commandments of Elohim, put those together, because you've got people who have a lot of faith, but yet they don't understand or comprehend keeping the commandments, right? And then you've got people who have all the, they've memorized the commandments, they know how all this goes, and they know what all this is, but is do they really have the faith that like Messiah had to calm storms, or walk on water, or turn 5 loaves of bread and 2 fish into enough to feed 5,000 people? You know what I'm saying? That's the kind of faith we must have. And when you combine that faith with keeping the commandments and having a pure desire to do what really pleases Elohim, then amazing things can happen. Amazing things can happen, right?
Amen, brother. Amen.
So, to truly be wealthy, we can't be out looking for provision. We can't be seeking provision. We just have to know that it's going to come, right? We have to know. That's what real faith is a knowingness, right? It's a knowingness that something's going to happen, or that it's going to be there when it's needed, right? Right here, we've covered this verse a couple times on this particular series, but we need to go back to it because this is very important. Messiah said, "Seek ye first the kingdom of Elohim and his righteousness, and then all these things will be added to you." Right? All the things that we think we want or that we feel like we need will automatically be added to us if we're seeking first the kingdom of Elohim, right?
Yes.
He's faithful. He's going to provide for us, just as he said. He keeps every promise that he makes, right? When you read Philippians 4:19 and you recognize that, hey, that is a promise, right? Then you can know he's going to do it. Just as, as we went through in the Torah portion, the promise that Elohim was going to bring Israel out of Egypt, right? Out of slavery, out of bondage, and bring them into the land that he promised to give to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, right? And he kept that promise. So seeking the kingdom, that is a really interesting thing. I don't know why I'd never looked this up, but I was like, you know what? Let me see what seek means. So I looked up what seek means, and it was pretty interesting. And I meant to have this called up already, but I didn't. So bear with me just a second. Here we go. Okay.
All good.
So I started looking into what seek meant, and I was like, whoa, I was pretty surprised by it. So we'll go through it. It is Strong's Greek G2212, right? And let's see, to seek definition. To seek, we've got to seek in order to find, universally and absolutely. Where was it with the something lost? So seeking something lost, right? To seek in order to find out by thinking, meditating, reasoning, or inquiring into. That is something to when I looked at it, and I was looking at the paper one, but I was looking at it in the book. When I looked at it, it was talking about asking questions, trying to derive answers, right? By thinking, meditating, reasoning, and to inquire into, right? To follow up the traces of divine majesty and power, seeking knowledge of Elohim, right?
It's the next one. It's that
Seek,
one right there.
seek after, seek for, aim at, strive after.
Yeah.
Very important here.
Matthew 6:33 is right there.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So very, very important to seek for, to actually like strive after that part right there. Strive after. If you really, really, really want something, right? You really, really, really just you feel like you can't live without it. That's like striving after, right?
Here's an interesting connection that just hit me. Remember when you were talking about the Torah, and that was a verse that was saying that it's like keeping the Torah, like it's the goal, like we're going towards the goal.
Yep.
And then this right here, this seek is saying to seek after, seek for, but to aim at. So you're aiming for a goal. So it's like, in a simplified version, is basically saying like, stop worrying about everything in your life that you're worrying about. If you seek first the kingdom, what how do you get into the kingdom? What's your path to get into the kingdom? Righteousness. Well, how are you righteous? What makes righteousness? Right? And living in the state of righteousness is living in the state of obedience. So if you just let go of everything and just be obedient and keep the Torah, everything that you wanted in the beginning anyway is going to come to you.
Yep.
And then some.
Yep. Yeah.
I'm glad you pulled this word up.
Absolutely.
I don't even know if I ever looked this up.
Right. I mean, it's something that you wouldn't think you need to look up because you think you know
Yeah,
what you
that's
see,
good.
but there's so much more to it. To seek to promote the glory of Elohim. Right. That's pretty much our purpose in life, is to glorify Elohim. Right. To seek to further profit or the further profit or advantage of one, right? So to seek for someone to gain something, right? Seek the favor of Elohim, seek to win souls, right? And then here to seek, require, or demand, right? That's very interesting too. To crave, demand something for someone, to require of him, right? Very interesting stuff, right? And we could continue on here. See, it's require, seek, endeavor, inquire. There's so much more to this word though than just what's on the surface, and I wanted to pull that out because really, really important. So,
Can I add one more thing to that?
Yeah, go for it, bro.
I want everybody to just take a moment and think of a time where you were looking for something, right? And it don't matter what it was. It could be, you're looking for your cell phone, you're looking for your car keys, you're looking for some paperwork that you needed, or whatever the case may be. Ever notice how in that moment, whatever you're looking for is the most important thing in your life, like in that moment? Like everything else don't matter, but what you're focused on finding is what matters. And then you get to the point where if you can't find it, then you say, oh, well, I'll find it later, or, it'll come around or something like that. But in the moment of you looking for it, you are diligently looking. You're looking under couches, under beds. You're doing whatever you need to do, whatever you can do to find that thing. That same focus that you have looking for something should be the same focus that you should be seeking the kingdom of heaven with.
Now, yeah. Oh, that's just great. And, really like the example of, you lost your car keys, right? And you're like freaking out. How am I going to get somewhere? You're looking everywhere for your keys, right? And then generally, that's that is just like Solomon Prophet said. That's how you've really got to focus on the kingdom of Elohim and seek it like that. Like, what am I going to do without it? I've got to find it. I've got to get the answer. I've got to get the understanding, the knowledge of, right? That's why so much of that word, it talked about getting understanding, gaining knowledge, to ask or inquire or demand even, right? And just so much more than's on the surface there. We'll continue on because we could go on with that forever. But so most people who make a lot of money are always focusing on money, right? People who have really good incomes, they're not necessarily rich, but they have really good incomes. Most of those people, they just focus on money, and that's all they think about, right? And poor people, likewise, they're the same. They're always focused on money. It's most people, rich and poor, live in a poverty mindset, right? They're slaves to the system, just like Israel was slaves in Egypt. The system only brings trouble with it, though. The system only brings trouble with it. But we don't have to participate in a system that brings trouble, right? Because the blessing of Yahweh brings wealth without painful toil for it. I found this, the NIV version just pulled up, and I was like, wow. I went and looked up the word trouble, because in King James it says trouble, I believe, or sorrow with it, right? King James says there's that he brings it with no sorrow. But when you look up sorrow, it actually means toil or hard labor, painfully hard labor. So I thought that was interesting.
So you telling us that the Most High is blessing us with wealth that we ain't really supposed to be killing ourselves for?
Exactly. The painfully hard labor was part of the cursed system of this world. But we do not have to remain in that system, right? We don't have to remain in that system. We spend all of our lives as children learning about the system, how to comprehend the system, and how to navigate the system, but not being taught the actual finer points of the system. We go through school, go to 12 years of school, 13 years of school, then go on to college, and we're taught that's what's going to get us ahead in this world, right? We're taught about the corrupted system that's actually designed to keep us spinning on like a hamster, like y'all seen the hamster wheels, right? Where the hamster just run and never moves, right? That's what this system is designed to do. It's designed to keep us in place so that we're not growing, right? And ultimately, if you ask most people why you go to college, why all this, and it almost always comes back to something to do with bills. Everyone's got to pay bills. That's like they're like, well, I've got to pay my bills. I've got to have this so I can pay my bills. I've got to work this job so I can pay my bills, right? But I'm going to suggest that we were not created to pay bills, right? Now, paying bills is a part of life, but that should not be like one of the main focuses of life, right? People scrambling, seeking to pay their bills when what they should be seeking is the kingdom of Elohim, and then the bill gets taken care of, right? I've heard multiple testimonies about people when they relinquished something that they didn't quite have enough to pay, like their electric bill or something, but then they relinquished what they did have, the little that they did have, right? and gave it away because they're like, well, it's not doing me any good because I can't pay. The electric bill's way more than this. I'll just give it away. If I'm going to not be able to pay it, I might as well not have, even part of it, So they gave it away, and then something happened that either, I've heard so many testimonies about this where either the electric company contacted them and said, hey, your bill was actually way too much and it's going to be lowered, or there was an error here, or they went to pay it and it was somehow already paid, or they randomly got all the money that they needed to pay their bill just at the last moment, testimony after testimony after testimony. But see, with the natural eye, with the carnal eye, we don't see what's behind the surface, right? So, we feel like we want to have a roadmap to get us exactly to where we're going, right? But all we really need to see is what's right in front of us. We don't need to see every turn and every road along the way. In fact, too much of that would confuse us, right? We just need to see what's right in front of us, right? And Elohim has it all mapped out for us if we follow his will, right? If we're doing his will, he's got it all mapped out for us so that we can accomplish what he wants us to accomplish and what the desire that he's put on our heart to accomplish, right? He's got it all planned out, and we don't have to have it planned out. We don't have to know how it's going to happen. But looking back, once it does, you can look back and say, oh, wow, I see how this was just like it was, and this was just like it was. And even though I thought that was bad at the time, it had to be the way it was in order to get me here. And what we ultimately at the time think may not be good, or maybe a struggle or hard, ends up not being, right? And so let's go back to Genesis, right? Go back to Genesis, see what's right here. This is very interesting. And Yahweh Elohim took the man and put him into the Garden of Eden to dress it and to keep it, right? To dress it, that means to work it, right? So there's work involved. Not hard labor, but work, right? And to keep it, right? When we say keep the commandments, what we actually mean is to guard them, to protect them, right? Let's go and look up this word, as a matter of fact. I did look it up earlier, but so to guard, that is a really, really important thing that we need to understand, as far as like what Elohim expects of us, right? When he says to guard the commandments, what's that really mean, Hang on. Okay. Here we go. Here it is. Let me share the screen. So, there it is. All right. So, this is the Hebrew word for guard that's in that verse in Genesis 2:15, right? To guard. And it means to attend, be careful, beware, bodyguard, carefully keep, care, charge, confined, defending, diligently keep, etc. Have charge, heed to yourself, and keep, right? Keeping, keeps, kept watch, observed, right? Pay attention, Perform. So part of keeping is to perform something, right? Let's see. Okay, so we've got keep, have charge of, right? And there we got Genesis 2:15 right there. To have charge of, property in trust, right? And tend a flock, right? Which is what I believe it was a couple weeks ago. I talked about how Messiah says, "Feed my sheep," right? To tend a flock. To keep guard over captives, even, right? Have a care of. Very important right there. Because if you really care, if you're guarding the commandments, you're going to really care about the commandments. You're going to be like, wow, I care about them. I love them. If you read Psalm 119, the entire Psalm, and it's the longest chapter in all of Scripture. And so many times David says, I love your commandments, right? I love your commandments. He truly, and that's why David was a man after God's own heart, because he truly loved God's commandments. He loved them so much. He could almost hardly think of anything else, right? Watch, observe, right? To keep, retain. So basically, he was supposed to protect and guard the garden. He was supposed to keep it pure, right? Adam was supposed to keep the garden pure, and he was supposed to work it. Trim it, help the harvest. Basically, he was going to harvest it and right, and then everything else Elohim was going to supply. Elohim was going to supply all the provision, and man was supposed to assist in harvesting and protecting. And that's really all that we should have to concern ourselves with, is keeping and protecting, right? But the system says that we must do certain things, school, college, etc. However, many wealthy people had almost no education, right? Someone was telling me about a man that he was a multimillionaire, and he had no education. He couldn't read, could hardly do basic math in his head, but couldn't read or write. When he was really young, his father, they were fairly poor, and his father took him to help him work, right? And he left school, got taken out of school, and the guy never learned to read or write and could barely do basic math, right? And he ended up becoming a multimillionaire. This guy was a multimillionaire, couldn't read or write. He had his accountant check his lawyer's work, and he had his lawyers check his accountant's work. Multimillionaire. So, the skills that we think we need in order to do certain things, to be a particular, whatever we may think we want, because of the programming that we've received from the system, from going through this educational system that educates us all in the system of the enemy, right? We don't necessarily need that, skills are not necessary to seek the kingdom. Faith is what's necessary to seek the kingdom, right? Now, we had been talking about activating faith, and this right here is going to show a very important key to activating faith, right? So in Mark 6:8, the Messiah commanded his disciples, when he sent them out, he commanded them that they should take nothing for their journey, save the staff only. No script, no bread, and no money in their purses, right? So he told them, go on out. You don't need anything. All you take is your staff. That's it. Nothing else. And why would he do that? Why would he send them out that way? Why would he tell them to go out that way, right? It's because he was showing them how to have the faith that when they saw what would happen, just like last week we talked about Elisha going by and that woman always giving him food and building a place for him to sleep, and always anytime he went by she'd be like, hey, come on up here. It's kind of like that, where if you really truly go out with nothing, and then you can see the provision that Elohim can provide. When we're doing things to make our own provision, we feel as though we've done it ourselves, right? That's why in the Torah it says, when you get into this land, don't think that you've done it yourself, right? I've given it to you. Don't think that you're the reason that you have all this. Don't believe it's because you are of particular importance or anything like that. It's not because of you. Don't let your heart be filled up with pride, but recognize that Elohim gave this to you, right? And so when Messiah had them go out with nothing, right, they learned and they got to see firsthand the amazing provision that can come when you're not trusting in material things, right? The material things, they don't, you can use them, right? You can use them, just as we started off this saying, if you're faithful in little, then you'll be given much, right? You can use material things, but what it is how you're using them, what you're using them for. The moment you start thinking, oh, well, I've got all this money coming in, let me go in and get this and get this and get this and do this for myself, right? The moment that you stop allowing it to flow through you to advance the kingdom. That was one of the definitions of seek, to seek the profit or advancement of, right? Once you stop trying to advance the kingdom, then the flow stops. The current is no longer coming, and it can't flow through you because you've blocked it up. And once you've blocked it up, you can't get any more, right? So yeah, it's like it's kind of like a check, right? A check is a promissory note. If I took out a checkbook, people don't really use checkbooks anymore, I guess, but someone takes out a checkbook and writes a check for $1,000 and gives it to you, says, there you go, right? You feel excited, right? You think, oh man, that's great. I got $1,000. When in fact, all you really have is a promissory note saying that when you take this to the bank, they'll give it to you, right? But before you even have the money in your hand with that check, you're like, oh man, I've got $1,000, right? The key here is that, as Messiah said, he gave us the keys to the kingdom of heaven, right? The check has already been written. It's already in our hands. We have just been trained by this system not to cash it until Messiah returns, right? We've been trained that we can't cash it until Messiah returns. And what we really need to do is recognize that, hey, you can cash that right now. You can have it right now as long as you are going to do what you're supposed to with it, as long as you're going to be faithful with it. And it starts with being faithful with a little. So that's pretty much what I had for this week. So, yeah.
Even to modernize it just a little bit, use Cash App for an example. Everybody like, hit my Cash App, right? If somebody send you a screenshot of it saying that they sent your Cash App the money, even if it hasn't hit your Cash App yet, you're like, all right, cool, that's good. Because you know that it's going to hit your Cash App at some point, right? Mm-hmm. That faith in the fact that they sent you that screenshot, or if they show you with their phone, right? Because when I go to the barber, I do Cash App, right? So I send him the Cash App and I just show him the page. He don't even be looking at his phone. He go back to cutting the next person, right? Because he already knows, he has faith that that money that I sent him via Cash App is going to hit his, right? Mm-hmm. So that same way, because think about it. Like he said, a check is just a promissory note. Let's look at it, like, let's break that down. A check is literally a worthless piece of paper that you just wrote ink on.
Mm-hmm.
But your faith and confidence in that check is what causes you to take it to the bank and request that you have currency in exchange for that promissory note.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And essentially we've been given that by Elohim. He's given it to us, and he's like, well, aren't you going to take it to the bank? You know? Aren't you going to cash it? And you know, it's really sad, but that's the way it is, that we've been programmed and conditioned by the enemy's system to say, no, I can't have it, not yet. I'll get it one day, you know.
Absolutely.
It shouldn't be that way.
It shouldn't. So at this time, we're gonna do Truth Talk Q&A. So if anybody has any questions on the lesson that Professor S just brought out, please feel free to ask him now.
Well, it was a good lesson. It was, especially with the seeking the kingdom, because obviously you hear it all the time. You think you know what it means, but having that granular breakdown of the meaning, it helps me. So when I'm seeking the kingdom, it helped me seek it better. So thanks for that, bringing that up, because that helped me a lot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. I was so blown away when I read that. I was like, what? How have I never looked this up before? But yeah.
I just care how is that where it's easy for us to have faith in something so simple as of cash out, but it's hard for us to have faith in, which, you know, this is something that I've recently been dealing with also. But it's crazy. You know, we hesitate to have trust in God, but just like Jamal said, like, it's quick for us to have faith that Cash App is going to drop, because, you know, it's a regular thing, but God's regularly doing stuff for us. It's just, are we paying attention? Are we acknowledging it? We have faith in such little things, so I just wanted to make that.
Yeah, that was it.
Yeah, you know, I mean, we go to flip a light switch, and we don't even doubt that the light's going to turn on. You know what I mean? But yet we feel like we need something, and we start searching for it instead of recognizing that, hey, Elohim said he's going to provide it as long as we are seeking his kingdom first. Mm-hmm. When we go to search for the other thing that we think we need, it blocks him from being able to provide it to us because of our thoughts. Our thoughts are really what blocks all that, right? It's going back to, I think, the first or second lesson of this series, man was given the authority on earth, right? And by implication, that means Elohim does not have the authority on this earth, right? Unless it's given to him. Unless someone in authority on earth says, okay, you have authority to do this, right? And so whenever we lack faith, it's not that Elohim can't provide, or it's not that he's incapable of providing for us. It's that we prevent, in the legal system of things, we prevent him from being legally allowed to by his own law. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Yeah, and just to kind of add to what both of you were just saying, and it's really big. I think something that's really big that a lot of people don't spend time thinking about because they don't have time to think about it is what you said earlier in the education is we were not made to just work, pay bills, and die. That's the system, that Satan's system that's set up where we have to stress about bills and work, and we just work until we're exhausted. It literally drains our energy. Just like in the movie The Matrix, there were batteries, their energy were being sucked out, being the machines were powered by the humans' energy. So like when you come home from work, you're exhausted, you don't have time to praise or want to, you don't feel like it, or go spread the gospel. All that stuff is like we don't want to do it or have time or feel like it just because we're being zapped by our job or the stressing anxiety, and it's like that's not our true purpose to just work, pay bills. Obviously, yes, we have to pay bills and work and eat and all that stuff, but when we seek the kingdom, and I think that hinders so many people, and even me, I still have to always recalibrate because we get so stuck in that, I gotta pay my bill, I can't do this, or how long. And again, going back to the example I always use, when the Satan serum came out, so many people caved in. I gotta work, so they took the serum because I gotta work. I can't lose my job. And then a lot of people got laid off after doing that. It's like, look at that punch. That's like a punch in the face. Like, you did this to show your to show your allegiance to this place, and they just lay you off. And then now you're super dead because you did that, versus seeking the kingdom, knowing he will protect you because you're seeking him. And he told you don't do that, but you overrided that. Like I said, he couldn't help us because we overrided that. And again, I'm an example of that. I didn't know what I was going to do, but I knew I wasn't going to do that, and he protected me. So, because I think that's just a big one that we have to keep remembering and remind ourselves that seek the kingdom. Don't worry about the promotion or job or the pay increase. You're going to get what you need to survive. We just have to, because I was listening to Brother Yoon's, like the guy from China I brought up a couple weeks ago, that 10-hour audio book. He was saying when he came to America, he was so shocked because there was a lot of believers in America, but we were so tied to our possessions to where, in China, when they get persecuted or in jail, they had so little that it didn't hold them back because we're so tied to our houses and our mortgages and our taxes and bills that it holds us back from doing stuff. So then I was like, just that, when he said that, like, wow, that was powerful just thinking about that. Like, Americans are, they're too limited because of all of our possessions and our greed and wealth that we have here. We're so stuck on keeping that stuff that we don't listen to Yah's word when he tells us to do something or move somewhere. I can't move. I got all this stuff. And again, it's hard, but because we tie ourselves to all this materialistic stuff. So that was just wow. I needed to hear that myself.
That's a funny thing. People think that they own their stuff, but most people, really, their stuff owns them.
Ooh.
They have so much stuff and they can't let go of it, and they actually become enslaved to the stuff that they think they own. You know what I'm saying?
As you said, they don't even own it, because like so many people live off credit. Like the clothes on your back you don't own because you're paying monthly bills on it. And your house you technically don't own because you don't pay those taxes. If you don't have a mortgage, they're gonna take your home. So like you said, it's like we are deceived by what we truly own. Like we actually don't even own a lot of this stuff.
And what did Messiah say in Mark 6:8? He sent his disciples out with nothing. All they had was their staff. They had no food, no bread, and no money. And
we don't even own ourselves, bro.
Yeah, I know.
And there's this ministry I like, that I fellowship with sometimes. When I got baptized, I was talking to them, but one of the founders of that ministry, and this this is more of like the Book of Acts style, to where they don't congregate in a building, they teach people to go out and stuff. But anyway, one thing I like that he did, what was it? He said it was they were going to do. I can't remember who in the Bible, but anyway, just similar to what you just said, to where when they got a group of people together, and they were like in either another state or another country, and they said, okay, we're going to see you out by 2 or 3 people, and you literally have nothing, you have no money, and you just go out. Your purpose is to spread the gospel, and Yah will provide for you. And they did it, and they all got provided for. They had no food, no money, but people let them stay with them, eat with them, just like the Bible said when they were knocking the door, spread the gospel. They got taken care of for like, I don't know, those 2-3 days they did that, and they all came back and told their testimonies. But I was like, wow, they went out with nothing, and they got taken care of. They got food, they had shelter, they had what they needed.
I don't want to ask nobody for no food. I don't want to ask nobody to stay with them. That's pride. Listen, here's the thing. And this is why faith is so hard for us. Faith isn't rational. Faith isn't logical. We think because we're so used to things having to make sense before we take a step, take an action, we think that faith is supposed to operate the same way. It's not. Like, just because it doesn't make sense, like, oh, well, how am I going to be provided for in this manner or in that manner? Bruh. It's not supposed to be logical. It's not supposed to make sense. Faith is you're supposed to just take action, like that picture. The man is on the ladder, and he's reaching for the next level to grab onto. It's not there. He don't need to know how it's gonna manifest, how it's gonna come, what's gonna happen. Is somebody gonna reach down and put the level in there so he can reach in, or if a bird gonna fly and drop it? It don't matter. He's just reaching anyway. He's taking action. By all accounts, logically and rationally, that doesn't make any sense. But that's faith. If you sit on the ladder and you climbing up and you get to the point where you don't see the next level, rationally or logically, you're not going to reach up for nothing because ain't nothing there. But faith ain't rational. That's what we need to get through our heads. When you live on faith, when you operating in faith, it's not supposed to make sense. All you need to know, because I think what we do is we play it in our minds we create an imaginary person. Sometimes it's like our friends, our family, but we personify someone being there with us in our head. And in our head, that individual that we create is talking to us. And so we explain what we're thinking about doing, right? Operating in faith, we're thinking about doing, and then we hear their response. And if they say, man, that don't make no sense, then we go in our minds and go, yeah, that don't make any sense. And then we don't do it. I think like that's how a lot of us do it. And if that person in our minds that we create says, oh yeah, that makes sense, then we like, okay, bet, let's go. How many of us use that as a check and balance things, like in our own minds? If we're thinking about doing something, you might run that scenario in your head. You might have somebody talking to you. It might even be your spouse or brother, sister, mama, daddy, whatever the case may be. And if that person in your head says, yeah, you're good to go, then you move forward. And if they say, no, then you don't move forward. But faith is not supposed to make sense.
I'm so glad you said that, because when you said earlier just now, how am I going to do that? It's like, I feel like that is the moment that we set ourselves up for failure. We sabotage ourselves, and we sabotage Yah's blessing on us, because as soon as we say how, we have doubt. Instead of say, hey, can you go out tomorrow and even, I don't know, go to another country, evangelize all day or for a week and come back? Well, okay. The faith is, okay, how are you going to do it? I don't know. How are you going to eat? I don't know. What are you going to say? I don't know. I just know I have faith that I'm going to be taken care of because I'm doing Yah's work. Yep. So it's like, even, and I'm saying this to myself too. So that triggered that. So thanks for triggering that. Because I'm like, instead of ask, because I think I do that too still. Those questions, well, how? I need to stop and just have faith. Mm-hmm. Okay, I'm going to do it.
It's just like you were saying, you can come up with any rational or logical reason why you can't do something, right? And you can come up with all this stuff. Have that conversation with yourself and say, and be like, oh, well, you can't because of this, you can't because of this, you can't because of this, right? But if you really had faith, you would throw all of that out and say, well, none of that matters. It doesn't matter how it happens. It's just going to happen. I'm going to choose to believe it. I believe it, and I'm going to start taking action on it now, even though I can't see any logical or reasonable way that this could actually happen.
Mm-hmm.
Amen. And I've seen families, literally a mom and dad with kids, young kids, sell their home, quit their 6-figure jobs, just go evangelize in other countries, and they're still alive today, flourishing, and people are being delivered and all that stuff. But it's like they literally sold everything. Like, wow, and that's a family. And so like those excuses, like you said, okay, well, this is what we need to do. We'll be fine. Like, and I think that's just a training, like we got to and I'm talking to myself, just that faith, exercise that faith, exercise it every day.
Yep, it's a muscle. And then eventually you get to the point where it becomes second nature, because that second nature is what we want to get to, right? You don't even give a thought to, like when he said earlier, the light switch. You ain't giving no thought to when you flip that light switch. You already know your mind is going to come on. It's just second nature, right? When you go to sit down in the chair, you're not making sure that it can hold up your weight. You're not making sure it's not going to collapse as soon as you sit down in it, or it's going to break.
Yeah.
It's second nature.
Yeah.
We need to get to that second nature faith, right? That faith where, oh man, your light bill came in the mail and it's $800, and you don't know how it got to $800, but you're not worried because it's second nature. You know that that's going to be provided for, right? Whatever the case may be in your life. If somebody, you got hit by a car and your health is bad, you're in the hospital, that second nature, it's going to work out. That faith heals, faith works out, faith protects, right? Faith is that driving force behind prayer, because you have to have that faith and that belief in order for the prayer to even work.
Mm-hmm.
Amen.
Yep.
Anybody got any questions for Professor S?
What do you think the the Sabbath brings? So, lately, this past week, our little group, we've been just kind of wrestling with, should you keep the Sabbath? Should you keep the laws? Do we keep our job? Because they may not allow us to observe the Sabbath and stuff. And then you get into that, I don't know, maybe trying to think logically or just trying to think, period. What do you think or know that what it brings, like the benefits of keeping the Sabbath? Spiritually, physically, whatever.
Well, it brings tons of benefits. Physically, I mean, our bodies are affected by the moon phases, just like the tides in the ocean are affected by moon phases, right? The moon has certain electromagnetic or some type of energies to it that affects water, right? And our bodies are mostly water. So doing Shabbat on the proper moon phases, right? It will without a doubt give you physical health, right? It will improve your physical health. It causes the heart rate to slow down slightly so that you have the perfect environment within your body to relax and become rejuvenated. And you get more rest on that day from resting than you would doing the same amount of rest any other day, right? Whereas if you try to work on that day and you're doing something physically demanding, it is a lot more taxing on your body because it's shifted into rest mode, right? So that's just the physical benefits. Spiritual benefits, obviously, we have a time to meet with Elohim, right? Shabbat is a time that we get to meet with Elohim. If you have an appointment with the dentist, you know exactly what day and time the appointment is, right? If you showed up 2 days before or you showed up a day after, would the dentist see you? No, they'd be like, oh, sorry, you missed your appointment. You can't see the dentist today. He's too busy, right? But we have weekly, we have an appointment that we get to have with Elohim for an entire day. We can spend the whole day with him, right? So that's a huge. What's that?
Maybe let me clarify. So, as far as what makes it different, do you know of any scriptures? Do you know of anything that says, other than he set it aside, he consecrated it, but what makes it different, right? Because some of the responses that we've talked about is, well, you've got people who don't keep the Sabbath and they're blessed, or I could pick a day, maybe if my job don't give me the Sabbath off, I can take a day and treat it as the Sabbath, which isn't that like the Christian mindset anyways? Any day is the Sabbath. So what do we know though, like from God spiritually, that makes the Sabbath day holy?
I was a little unprepared for something like this.
I know.
But I mean, it's great question. We've got in Ezekiel, it says that because of the Sabbath, we know that he's the one that sanctifies us because of the Sabbath, right? In the commandments, if you look at the commandment for the Sabbath day, right?
Yeah.
It's the longest out of all the commandments. It's the most wordy. It's the most well-defined. Everything else is just like, oh, don't do this, don't do that. They don't actually define it, though, right? So there's a lot put into that, as well as so if you look at in Scripture, it talks about signet rings, and what they would have. Especially a king back in those days, they would, if they were making a, in order to have a seal of authority, they would have a signet ring that described who they were, it named who they were, what they had authority over, why they had that authority, and it would say, what authority they had, and the commandment for the Sabbath day has all of those things in it, saying that he is actually the authority, right? By doing that, we actually acknowledge him. Now, people who don't know better, can they be blessed? Sure. But I think once we know better, we try to do better. We should want to do better. And if we know better and we still do something that, even though we know to do better and we still go back and do the other against our own convictions, then it causes those blockages. Whereas if we didn't have that conviction, we may not have that blockage because we don't have that conviction and we're unaware, right? And so there's that. I'll tell you another thing though, that for me personally, keeping Shabbat has increased my faith so much. There was a couple times that I was going to get fired for keeping it, and I didn't cave. Even some of my friends were like, "Dude, it's just the way it is. Don't lose your job over it. God doesn't want you to lose your job." And they're like, "Oh, well, you need that job." I'm like, "Well, if I lose it, then I lose it. It's, what." And I ended up not losing it. So it just increased my faith in that he's going to provide, as long as I'm willing to sacrifice my time to be with him, and to give him time, which is really the most valuable thing we have,
Yeah.
Time is the most valuable of anything that we have, right? And to give him that time, it's very difficult to put into words, but it brings clarity and it helps you to be able to know that, hey, everything's going to be okay regardless, because you've already seen it happen. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And can I add something to that? Now, this is not, I don't have any scripture, so you could take this and throw it away. That's totally fine. It's just what I feel like I'm being kind of told. Yeah, the Holy Spirit, could it just be my thoughts? But because that is a good point where you said people are blessed that don't keep it, that eat unclean meats, that do all this stuff, and they're still seeing fruit and being blessed, right? And I thought about that, like, wow, that's a good point. And I really felt like, because I didn't have an answer, and I'm like, okay, Holy Spirit, if you can provide me something to say, or if it's just my thoughts, I don't know. But then this came to my mind to where that may be true. But then what if this is a big test from Yah, to where we see it in Scripture clearly, to where it says, keep my commandments for all your generations, like it's clearly Yahushua pointed back to it, is keep the commandments. And then, yeah, we may see people that are being blessed right now, but what if that's not always the case? What if right now it's more of just like a test phase, to where Yah seeing who will obey him and who will not? Because maybe it's a test for us. Hey, these people are being blessed, so I can do what they do. So then we go with what they're doing. But again, remember the word like holy or like kodesh needs to be set apart. So as we keep this, and again, what if it, and again, this is not anything in Scripture, but just looking at what's happening in the world and how, they're starting to do like Sunday laws and all this other stuff. What if Yah, again, tells us we wake up in the middle of the night and it's like, okay, on my appointed day, go to the mountains. And if we're not keeping it, we have no idea, then we choose the wrong day or something like that. Or again, or you see like, I don't know, maybe somebody been robbing banks successfully for years and they got away with it, but then it catches up to them. So that's just something that I don't know. I think about like, okay, well, you may see these people being blessed, but don't worry about what man is doing. Do what Yah tells us to do, and let them do what they do, and don't let that influence you. Because again, I've thought of that before too. But that's just something to think about. Like, just because they're being blessed, okay, they may not last all the time, but don't let that influence what Yah is telling you to do. Because like in your heart, He's telling you to do that. So that's just something on that.
Also, I was trying to let y'all finish, but I gotta pull this out. So just because someone has something that you may want doesn't mean that they're blessed, right?
Yeah.
Like let's be real. We say people are blessed because they got money, or we say people are blessed because they have some type of monetary possessions, a car, a big house. Oh man, you blessed. Most High blessing you. Them people might not be blessed. But being blessed means it's coming from the Most High. Being blessed means it's coming from a place of love and power and authority, right? That's going to benefit you in the way that you need it to benefit you, right? Because there are rich people who are dealing with all kinds of demons. That's why the suicide rate among millionaires is sky high. People killing themselves. Right? Are they blessed? Are the people who got big houses and nice cars that get cancer and they end up dying from cancer? Are they blessed? You see what I'm saying? Or we see someone with a big family and just assume that they're blessed because they got a big family, but they might have all kind of toils and troubles within the family unit, right? You look at, and that's like kind of like when you look at couples on social media. Oh, I want to be like them. Relationship goals. You don't know what them people got going on. They might put up a front on for the gram and for Facebook and Twitter or whatever the case may be, but behind the doors, they arguing, they fighting, they don't trust one another, they cheating on each other. It's all bad, right? But on our end, from our perspective, oh, they blessed, they so nice, they so blessed, they taking these nice pictures, they going on trips, they looking. Being truly blessed means you're being given something by the Almighty, or you're given something by the Almighty through someone else who is blessing you in your need, what you need in that moment, right? You might not need $1 million right now. You might not need a brand new car. You might not need, a big family at this moment in time, right? You're gonna be blessed with what you need. We looking at other people trying to keep up with the Joneses because we assume that they blessed. That don't mean that they're blessed. I can tell you personally, ever since I started keeping the Sabbath, my whole life has changed. Right? And that's in Scripture. Ain't nothing in my life that happened to the point where anybody could sit there and say that my life has been ruined, or I had I had too much stuff going into it, and that's scripture. That's scripture. Let me see. Deuteronomy 28. And it shall come to pass, if thou shalt hearken diligently unto the voice of the Most High thy Elohim, to observe and to do all his commandments which I command thee this day, that the Most High thy Elohim will set thee on high above all the nations of the earth. Not above some of the nations of the earth, not above the majority of the nations of the earth. It says all nations of the earth. Set thee on high. To set thee on high to me is to be esteemed, right? To be put in a place of honor, to be put in a place of authority, right? And all these blessings shall come upon thee and overtake thee. What does it mean to be overtaken? It means it just overwhelms you. You can't even deal with it. You can't even fathom it, right? You won't have no power or control over it, right? A blessing overtaking you. If thou shalt hearken unto the voice of the Most High thy Elohim. Well, what is the voice of the Most High Elohim saying? To keep his commandments. But look at verse 3. Blessed shalt thou be in the city. So you're going to be blessed in the city. And you're going to be blessed in the field. Bless the fruit of your body. So we're talking about health, right? You're going to be healthy. Bless the fruit of the ground, right? So if you're planting crops, your vineyards, you know what I mean? Those are going to be blessed. The fruit of the cattle, all of your animals, your livestock is going to be blessed. The increase of thine kind and thy flocks of thy sheep. All of these things are going to be blessed. Blessed shall be thy basket and thy store, right? Blessed shalt thou be when thou comest in, and blessed shalt thou be when thou goest out. So when you come in and when you coming out, as you go to and fro, the Most High shall use thine enemies that rise up against thee to be smitten before thy face. They shall come out against thee one way and flee before thee 7 ways. Right? If I'm focusing on the Most High, he got me covered. I don't got to worry about nobody else. You see what I'm saying? Recently, there was somebody who, was trying to, say a little bit of something, and they ended up getting dealt with, and I didn't have to do nothing. I was focusing on the Most High.
Yeah, well, I mean,
you see what I'm saying?
Because Proverbs says when a man's ways please Elohim, he makes even his enemies to be at peace with him.
Yeah, well, he wasn't at peace with me. He just got dealt with. He got them hands put on.
Well, I mean, it ended up becoming that now you have peace, though, right?
But yeah, I got peace.
You got peace now. See, there you go.
I got peace, and he got peace. He got pieced up. That's what happened. And it says the Most High shall command the blessing upon thee in thy storehouses, and in all that thou settest thine hand unto. Everything that you put your hand to is going to be blessed. Think of the story of Joseph, right? Everything he did was just blessed, right? Even in bad situations. Nothing happened to Joseph that was a result of like someone having like true power over him. Even as a prisoner in prison, he was given favor and blessings and authority, right? And he shall bless thee in the land which the Most High shall give thee. And the Most High shall establish thee a holy people, holy what? Set apart, a people unto himself. And he has sworn unto thee, if thou shalt keep the commandments of the Most High thy Elohim and walk in his ways, and all the people of the earth shall see that thou art called by the name of the Most High, and they shall be afraid of thee. He sworn this. This is something that the Most High is swearing to us.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And the Most High shall make thee plenteous in goods, in the fruit of thy body, and in the fruit of thy cattle, and in the fruit of thy ground. Did I go back? Oh no, it just repeated. And in the land which the Most High swear unto the fathers to give to thee. And the Most High shall open unto thee his good treasure, the heaven to give the rain unto thy land in his season, and to bless all the work of thine hand. And thou shalt lend unto many nations, and thou shalt not borrow. And the Most High shall make thee the head and not the tail, and thou shalt be above only, and thou shalt not be beneath. If that thou hearken unto the commandments of the Most High thy Elohim, which I command thee this day, to observe and to do them. And thou shalt not go aside from any of the words which I command thee this day, to the right hand or to the left, to go after other gods to serve them. This is my life. All of this happens. Everything I touch is successful. Everything that I do is blessed. Everything that happens to me, even if it's perceived negative, it works out for my benefit. I can honestly say ever since I started keeping the Sabbath diligently, everything's changed. Everything's changed.
And one more thing I'll add, I'll just repeat a little bit and then add a little something. But again, just think about it. Starts again. What if it's like a test where, okay, these people appear to be blessed right now, and then the people who are truly like the, what is it? The parable of the four seeds, to where you have the one that shrivels up right away, the one that has a little root, and then as soon as it comes up, it shrivels up, and then the third one that is starting to bear fruit a little bit, but then that one dies, but the fourth one is the strongest root. And I guess an example that just came to my head is, think about, it's like maybe you're in medical school, right, to become like a doctor or something, and you're studying, you're reading the text, you're studying, you're doing long nights, you're tired, so you're taking your test, and then you see somebody else that never studies, they're coming in and they're passing the test too, and you're like, how is this person passing this test? They don't even study. They come in, circle whatever, turn it in, they pass, and they leave. Half the time you're doing it, you're just like exhausted. Then party like, you know what, maybe I should just do it. Do I even need to study? But then last day of the class, they're bringing a cadaver or something. Okay, now do open heart surgery on this cadaver. And you studied and did all the work, and then now it's time for the test. You can pass, but the other person that just circled answers and they were just lucky, they're going to be sweating. Oh wait, I don't know what I'm doing. So for me, that's just another way to look at it from a current modern way of looking at that.
Great point. Great point.
Really good point. Yeah.
Absolutely good point.
I'm gonna actually comment in on the question as well as an answer. For anyone who is watching, in the beginning, Joe, he mentioned, it was hard it threw me off guard. He didn't have an answer, and then we all kind of had to think about it. Well, just want to point out that faith. So I believe the Sabbath is one of those commandments that really has to have faith. If I had to analyze all of them, that one requires the strongest faith, because it isn't a direct physical manifestation. Like you could say, oh, if I don't commit adultery, I won't get an STD, or the risk of getting an STD goes down significantly because it's just me and my partner. We're doing it right, But the Sabbath is not one of those, and you shouldn't have to know. And we was talking about that, like, you don't have to know really what God has in store for when you keep the Sabbath. Although I do agree with everything. I think the Sabbath is a signet. I think that the Sabbath is the mark or the seal of God, as spoken of in Revelation. But yeah, you don't have to know. And it's what I do know is what everyone else was explaining too. When you observe this and keep the Sabbath, it transcends to, it seems like, all the other commands. It transcends to all the other days of the week. You get a clarity, your spiritual gift, you get to use it, or you get to learn how to use it. Sometimes we know our gifts, but we still like, what do I do with this? How do I operate? And the Sabbath, even Katie was talking about, like, today, the day she made like a heart's commitment to want to keep the Sabbath, she's getting all these business ideas, and like, it's just coming, it's coming. So yeah, you don't have to know. Like, it's not our place to know everything. Ask Job. We just do it because it's supposed to be, because he said so, right? And then he promised that there will be benefits, period. So even though it's having faith, and it might seem like having blind faith, is not really having blind faith, because you know that the return will be good, no matter what the good is. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Good points. Good points.
Return for sure. It's definitely a good return.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Anybody else got anything they want to share before we close it out? All right, cool.
Come, Brother Sims.
He's just
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom, brother. Chief Sims in the building.
That's right. Hey, earlier in the beginning in Exodus, we were talking about all that transpired, all the plagues. When Aaron threw the rod down, it became a serpent.
Uh-huh. Uh-oh.
And
Aaron threw the rod down and it looked like they threw the phone down. There we go. Welcome back.
Go.
All right. So when Aaron threw the rod down, it became a serpent.
Uh-huh.
When the magician did the same, Aaron's rod, or this serpent that was Aaron's rod, swallowed all of the other serpents.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, so it just shows you that Yah's power is bigger than the lesser magic or whatever you call it. You know, the
I don't think they can hear.
Oh, they go out again.
I think she backed out to come back in.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, that's, tapping into the two kingdoms. All of this is a part of that.
Amen.
Yeah. Can y'all hear us now?
Can y'all hear us, Keita? Oh, they must be having some issues.
I want Brother Sims to be able to finish his point, though. Marquita, can you hear us?
Okay.
Oh, there we go. Okay. Oh, we heard y'all. Oh, maybe they still can't.
I don't know. Well, well, family, this has come to the end of this week's lesson. I appreciate everybody's patience. I hope y'all got some out of this. I hope this made, put on somebody's remembrance. Brother Sims, can you hear us?
Yes, I'm back.
Go ahead, finish your point, brother.
All right. When Aaron put his rod down, it became a serpent. So the magicians were called, Pharaoh's magicians and sorcerers were called, and they threw their rods down and they became serpents. But the power of God through that serpent that Aaron threw down swallowed all the other serpents that were thrown down.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And in Exodus 7 or 8, verse, let the people go ground, verse 22, it says that, and I will sever in that day the land of Goshen, or the in which my people dwell, that no swarms of flies shall be there. To the end mayest thou know that I am the Lord in the midst of the earth. So there was a separation between the children of Israel and the Egyptians during the flies.
Right.
God's power, he allowed that, he made it to happen. And you all were saying earlier about the other plagues, that the lice, I think, was where they could not reproduce. It was the flies or the lice that the magicians could not reproduce.
Yeah. None of the other ones. The only ones they were able to reproduce was the snake in the blood.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's God's power right there.
Mm-hmm.
Amen. Shows you that He is more powerful than the lesser magic. Than even if you see something amazing, people shoot fire in the sky, they can't match Yah's power. Like, but a lot of people are being deceived right now because they think Satan is more powerful, and they see magic and they see stuff happening. So this must be the truth. So I'm going to bow down to this. Like, no. Trust me, that's nothing. That's like ants compared to Yah's power. So,
and no matter what happened, if we keep our faith in God, then, and we know that how he's going to return, and not be fooled by people saying he's going to be here or he's going to be there. We know how he's going to return. So let's keep our faith to know that, or to continue to hold to that.
Amen, Brother Sims.
Absolutely, amen. And if the Most High got the power to bring out, create a serpent from a rod and turn water to blood, and to create lice and poisonous insects and kill cattle and make it dark for 3 days and rain fire and hail from the sky and do all of these different things, why do we think that he can't pay a bill? Why do we think that he can't give us a job? Why do we think that he can't, cause our personal relationships to be restored? Why do we think that he can't help us get over our self-esteem issues and insecurities?
Yeah,
we need to have more faith in the Most High. And here's the thing: he got a whole book. He got a whole book of evidence of receipts that he did over and over again, and we still like, yeah, but I'm dealing with this situation right now. It's funny, but it's true, bro.
Yeah, it is.
We got it. We got the power.
Exercise that faith every day like a muscle. You just gotta exercise every day like a muscle. Exercise that faith every day.
Exercise that faith. Go to the gym. Go to the gym.
Yes.
Work out that muscle. Go to the gym. But yeah, family. Appreciate all y'all. For those watching at home, if you like the content, make sure you subscribe, drop a comment, share this with other people so we can get the word out. With that being said, family, may the Most High bless you, keep you, campus angels around you, and give you shalom. That is peace, happiness, welfare, joy, and prosperity. Shabbat shalom, family.
Shabbat shalom, family.
Shabbat shalom.
It was the one that had to squeeze it. Need to take heed to this wisdom. And trust you gotta stay away from folly. Cause everybody say they in the truth. But the truth is not in everybody.
I'm just trying to find my way. It's my destiny. I know I got a part to play. Can't wait to see you high on that righteous day. New Jerusalem, I know I got a right to stay. You need to take heed to this wisdom. And you gotta stay away from folly. Cause everybody say they in the truth. But the truth is not in everybody.
I'm just trying to find my way. It's my destiny. I know I got a part to play. Can't wait to see you high on that righteous day. New Jerusalem, I know I got a right to stay.